Halloween used to be my favorite holiday. It was one time of the year you could be anything you wanted to be. You could even draw out your darkest desires and display them for the world to see. No one else would think you were the odd for being the person you always wanted to be. There was no judgment for your choice of the archer, and oftentimes you were commanded for that choice. Then, at that end of the night, you will receive the reward for your efforts in the big form of a bag full of candy. I'm far too old to go door to door begging for treats, but I enjoy watching my children do the same. Weeks in advance, we let them pick their costumes. They are far too young to delve in their ghastly and usually end up picking a character of a popular movie or TV show. I simply take pictures and urge them to go to each doorway. I always remind them to say trick or treat before the door opens. It has been this way for a few years now, but I am starting to question the tradition, especially after visiting 113 Forest Road. This past year we made rounds for our local neighborhood. We made sure to only approach homes that had their porch light on, which was the unspoken rule. Our night almost had come to an end when we reached a home that had been vacant for at least 2 seasons. It was the largest in our neighborhood, towering at 2 stories when all other users had 1 level. It was a large brick Victorian monstrosity that may have been beautiful, but the landscape had needed a long-needed work. It was a house most kids made stories about when we saw the dim glow of the yellow bulb. I was unsure of letting my children approach. My oldest begged to ring the doorbell. My youngest simply just wanted more candy. I was outnumbered and relented to their pleas. My wife sat in the big idling vehicle where I followed close behind. The 2 made their way up the steps and I waited at the bottom, like always. I reminded them of what to say. My oldest son held his brother's hand and pressed the lighted button. Ringing much like church bells echoed from within the house for that moment, before returning to silence. After a few seconds, they turned to me with questioning looks. I had noticed a moving truck parked outside of the home earlier, and in the month and knew someone must live there, but I have not seen them. There was no car in the driveway, and I did not see any lights on inside. I started to think that maybe they were simply gone and left the light on in case it was dark by the time they returned. I waved to my children to come back to the car and told them we should just head home. The look of disappointment on their faces told me that they were not ready to end the night just yet. Their faces lit up when the door creaked to life and a voice beckoned to them to wait. "Trick or treat!" they both screamed with excitement. A feeling rolled in me like thunder, like a signal of danger ran in my head. Something was not right. If they were home, then all of this was a car I had seen in the driveway the last few weeks. I instinctively advanced on my 2 children, taking the steps and leaps. A feeling inside of me told me that they should not go towards the voice, calling for them, and telling them to stop towards the door. I chose both. Oh, the voice seemed to strain, but it's like a lifetime smoker. 2 right hands shot from the parted pathway. They drew both my little boys inside. Their screams echoed in my head. My adrenaline shot through me forward, but my body slammed against the closing door. I pounded repeatedly, screaming obscenities of every nature. My body shook violently as my word became a spiral of despair. The whole scene drew my attention of my wife, and soon she was right behind me. In the effort to find an entry, I took a step back, lifted my right foot, and dropped it at full force to the hard wood. The door frame shattered, allowing the barrier to fly freely in the darkness. I cried out to my terror for my little boys as I rushed through each room. My entire reason for living had been snatched up in an instant, and I had been too late to stop it. When the house had been searched completely with no results, my wife phoned the authorities for the wails of agony. We both held each other until sirens lit up our tiny neighborhood. It has been a year and we still have no answer to what happened to my children. My wife had distanced herself from me, and I am sure she blames me for what happened. I don't fault her for that. I blame myself for it as well. If I had not let them go to that door and listened to my feelings sooner, they would have both still been here. Halloween is no longer a time for fun for us, but just a reminder of our mistakes. I don't even leave my house on that night, or even the sight of a pumpkin makes tears stream down my face. The drive home from work was especially hard, witnessing the houses that decorate for the occasion. I'm almost in a panic before I close myself within the safety of my home. Please, if you read this, do not let your kids visit 113 Forest Road on Halloween. Well, that was my last Halloween. Creepypasta written by Locked 334. My final thoughts on this story? Well, this is actually a pretty good creepypasta, as I do remember a couple creepypasta narrators actually read this one, the one by Locked. I do know for a fact that Creepy Sensei actually narrated this one, and I do know a few other people have narrated it, so I thought I would just go ahead and, review this one, as this was a pretty good story. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually one of the best creepypastas that did have, this is involving, this one guy taking his sons to this house that look like, oh, it's for Halloween. When they go up to trick or treat, they end up getting snatched and they end up going missing and they're never seen again. Which, I mean, it's sad, yes, but in this case, I can definitely see, why you would want to supervise your kids and have them not go in any house whenever a stranger offers them to come inside their house or something. I mean, that's a really good advice. Like, I never went into people's houses when it comes to me, wanting to trick or treat at their places. I don't go to anyone's houses, but this is unfortunately one case where kids end up getting snatched. I know it's unfortunate, but it does happen. So, this is why it's pretty much the reason why it's best to not really, not go into people's houses, if it makes sense, especially on Halloween. So, I guess with that being the case, and with that being said, the grammar's good, as well as a good sentence structuring. I can definitely say right now that this one is definitely a good story. It's a pretty awesome creepypasta, and I recommend watching this one if you haven't. So, anyways, I guess with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm gonna sit here and just say right now that this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. I'm going to give this story a 10 out of 10. It's a pretty good story. I really like it. It's a really good story. I definitely have to say that it's a pretty good Halloween creepypasta, but it does unfortunately have a sad ending where all the, where unfortunately the kids get snatched. But, unfortunately this happens. And this is the only thing I could definitely say on why it does happen. But, yeah. Anyways, I guess with that being the case and that being said, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.